Oh, so on the 4th of November, I took Daryl, who's my international student, to one of my fraternity's tailgates when we played Penn State. Daryl has never been to a fraternity tailgate before, so I had some concerns about how he'd feel and act before the event started. It was a big social event, so I was worried about him being overwhelmed with all the people there as well as underage drinking. Um, but before the event, I thought maybe he would just be too scared once he arrived and bailed at the last minute, which would have been pretty bad. But thankfully, he didn't. Once we got to the event, he was totally cool with everything that was happening, and I had no problems at all. He's of age, and so am I. So he was drinking, and I even got him to play a few drinking games with others as well. Although one thing I was worried about while people were tailgating was his ability to talk and meet other people. I was worried that I would have to stick by him awkwardly the whole time and try and strike up conversation with him. Thankfully, all people I introduced to him got along with him pretty well, as they all found his life story fascinating. It's mind-blowing to some of my friends to think that a student like Daryl came from overseas and can speak great English and fit into our culture so well, even when he came from a completely different background. During the event, Daryl pretty much only showed happy emotions, as he was constantly smiling and looking like he was having a blast. I think he truly enjoyed the tailgate, and he would definitely come back if I invited him again. At the beginning, he obviously looked and was acting a little nervous, as most people were. Definitely was not out of the ordinary. But once we got in and started tailgating for half an hour, the tensions of his nervousness kind of faded away, and he was finally himself again. At the beginning, he was nervous, but I asked him periodically if he was comfortable with everything that was happening, and told him if he ever felt uncomfortable, he can just tell me and we could leave. I tried to read his emotions and the way he responded to me at the beginning, but he gave me no reasons to abort the tailgate, and as a result, I think he had one of the best days of his fall semesters with my friends and I. During the event, my thoughts and behavior only changed a little bit, as I was more careful about what I said and did, trying to make Daryl feel as comfortable as possible. I was also less worried about socializing with other people, so I could give Daryl the best tailgate experience possible. Throughout the whole tailgate, I kept trying to look around and find people for Daryl to meet so he could maybe make some new friends and gain some valuable connections that he wouldn't be able to get by sitting at home watching the game on a TV like he normally does. Another thought of mine was that I was a bit self-conscious about myself and was afraid that Daryl wouldn't be accepting of my lifestyle and culture. The whole day I was scared that one of my friends or guys of the fraternity would say or do something that would be culturally alarming to Daryl, causing him to feel uncomfortable and want to leave. Thankfully, none of that happened, and we were able to carry out normal day activities without any problems. Um, After the tailgate, one thing I was curious about was if Daryl did this kind of stuff back home with his friends in school. It would be interesting to hear and see what Daryl was thinking to himself throughout the whole experience. Obviously, every college kid likes to have fun and enjoy life, but the more I think about it, the less I can see this kind of experience happening in India, where Daryl's from. The main sport is soccer by far, so if they did have this kind of event, they would be tailgating for a soccer game instead, which would be awesome. I'd love to experience that. But I think it would be very cool to travel overseas and experience the culture and traditions that some people do and perform right before a soccer game. So I was curious, and I asked Daryl what him and his family usually do right before a big game, and he said they just make a lot of food and feast while watching the game on his TV. So in a sense, that could potentially be their equivalent event to a tailgate in the United States. Might not be comparable to like a fraternity's tailgate, but it sounds awfully familiar or similar to a parent tailgate, where the kid and his friends go and feast on the amazing spread of food that the parents provide. After this experience, I learned a little bit about myself, and that I didn't know about at first. I realized that you need to stop thinking about like what other people think of you and just go out and have fun doing whatever you love. It took Daryl a lot of courage to come out with me on Saturday, and I know he was very hesitant about coming out. Once he got past this barrier, the sky was the limit for him, and it clearly showed that he's having the time of his life at the tailgate. Just generally speaking, going to like a different culture that you're uncomfortable with can be super intimidating out of the blue at first. But once you get accustomed to it, in my opinion, it's not about like what event you're participating in or where you're from, but it's more about the people you meet and that surround you. If everyone in the world was like the exact same, life would be boring and not really worth living, but culture is what gives life the spark it needs by providing different people that truly give life the meaning that it has.